for himself. You hear what he said. Yo, Gunna, stop acting like we first. Stop seeing Gunna playing YSL. Gunna's plan, I'm telling you this is a fact. He always thought Thug would be free. He thought that once Thug got his freedom, he would spend all those years. He thought Thug would forgive him. Thug would be like, all right, bro, yeah, you right. Like, what they caught you up on wasn't really shit. It's all good. You're my mans. You're still good. Thug is not listening. So Gunna at that point realizes, not only is Thug free, there's no place for me on YSL. And there's no love, and there's no more returning to that friendship. Gunna always wanted to get back together. Thug never wanted. That was crystallized when Thug got out, and now Gunna has accepted it. What happened is that Gunna had a YSL tattoo. He's now covering it up. You see some flame? He's covered up YSL, the state, and also the word or the letter YSL. Okay? The update is that Thug still feel the same way. Thug still on his head top. Thug hopped up in Ghana after our generation music posted why something here is being covered up. You hear what Thug said? Thug's face. He said, I mean, he did say he did say it must end. LOL. Chat, for all y'all fans who are just wishfully thinking these guys are gonna come back together, this is the question that most of y'all are not prepared to answer. I don't care. I get it. I might think me and the Vlads and the Charleston Whites, oh, y'all like people who cooperated. That's not what it is. We're just not street. We don't care. Y'all don't really care either. If y'all really care, it's very obvious that Thug feels so deeply offended by what Gunna did, he thinks Gunna's a snitch. Y'all still listen? Y'all gonna still listen to Gunna? Y'all still gonna listen to Thug? So that's the point where I'm saying Thug is thinking the industry or fans are gonna move on his principle. Okay? When 6ix9ine snitched, DSP's blackballed for snitching. Because he's not focused. The DSP's love him. Fans still love Thug. The point is, I say that to say, Thug, with all due respect, you're on the clock. This thing Gunna ain't gonna help you. Drop a hot album. We want to hear your story. This whole anti-Gunna campaign, it just ain't working. So, we just need you to drop some hot shit and let Gunna go have his career because he's gonna have an illustrious career. And every single day that passes by, more and more people start fucking with him. You see Offset. Obviously DDG, but DDG's not street. You see, I think he did some shit with Roddy Ricch. Yeah, people don't give a fuck. Last thing I'll say before we get on to what we got to get to. My advice to Thug, you dropped the song with Future, it debuted outside of the top 40. Your first song debuted outside the top 40. I'm not saying you waited long enough, but maybe it's not hot enough. And I know you're talented enough because you are one of those legends. Get on your shit, drop the fire out. By the way, YoungBoy's on that time right now. He's on the clock too. But here's the thing. Everybody know YoungBoy. No matter how much time you lock him up, this and third, YoungBoy a little bit mentally, he not about to come back on some different shit. The judge told you you can't wipe your nose no more. You can't say you sloth. You can't even say YSL. This is why your comment said, he said it must end. You can't say YSL. So you are neuter. You're rapping with your hands behind you. They try to revoke your shit because you try to speak up for baby. I don't know how you're going to make that music. And you're really talented. I think you can. But that remains to be seen. You're on the clock. Forget about Gunna. It's about you. I think YB about to go put out a classic and go on tour and go sell every place out. But we'll talk about YB. Leave gun alone. Move on. Anyway, I just want to do that quick topic real quick, and let's get to court. We are in court, people. Today is the second week. The first day of the second week is day 6 of the Diddy. Week 2 is beginning with the judge ruling. Rashard. Everybody got a special name. It's not Dawn Richard. It's Dawn Rashard. Testimony. And then apparently Kerry Morgan is going to testify after. So Kerry Morgan, if you don't know, is the best friend or former best friend of Cassie. She claimed Diddy threw a wooden hanger at her face, but she was Cassie's closest friend while she was in school with Diddy. At a point, she even testified, or not testified, according to Cassie was hitting up Diddy like, wait, you want my friend over me? Because she felt that Diddy was expressing interest in both. Her testimony is going to be important to what she's seen. Clearly, she's a government witness, so she's not going to be like, oh, no, Diddy ain't do nothing wrong. Cassie was a whore. So she's going to be probably trying to say, yeah, Diddy was always forceful. He was always intimidating. He did hit me, blah, blah. So that's going to come from it. But Dawn Richard is, or Dawn Shaw is one of the first witnesses that has been a former artist for Diddy. Day 2 of testing, it's only going to happen. Welcome, people. Welcome. Welcome. I see everybody on the King Academic channel, everybody on the Academy channel. Everybody, real quick, if you don't know, you can go to the live stream. Check it. You don't know where you're from. You're repping. Me and I do your perspective is based out, okay? Let me know where you're from. Check it out. That's how you roll. Okay, we're gonna roll into this pretty slowly. So it started all right. The judge, Submarine, says on the defense application in regards to Dawn Richard, Mrs. Garagos, which is Tenny Garagos, her opening statement opened the door to this testimony. Okay. As to Mr. James, the testimony would be admissible absent more. So. Don't know exactly what the application is. I could probably pull it up because it was probably filed on Friday, or probably filed or over the weekend. It appears that the defense wants to carve out certain parts of. So the defense carved out certain parts of Dawn Richard's testimony. Now, here's the thing about Dawn Richard, right? And this is gonna be a main thing about a Dawn Richard or a Kerry Morgan. It's one thing when Cassie takes that stand, and Cassie is a first-person witness, which means Diddy was punching Dick in her stomach. She was hitting. She was swallowing all different flavors of the rainbow of semen. It's one thing if someone's giving a first-hand recounting or testimony. It's another thing if, oh, you were there, but none of that happened to you. So you're just saying what you've seen. Here's the problem with that. Even if Cassie had an incentive of money, there's a lot of money that she could have gained. She gained supposedly 30, 24. She was a victim. Let's talk about the people who ain't victims. Diddy ain't punched no dick in your stomach. You wasn't in no free calls, but you were here to testify. That person could be then deemed and seen as, well, and we're going to talk about Aubrey O'Day. Please remind me. Your gripe might stem from the fact that your career didn't go nowhere. Your gripe might stem from the fact that Diddy didn't believe in you musically. Your gripe would stem from whatever wrong you thought he did to you non-sexually, that you now feel is in your best interest or your get back to testify against him about what you claim you saw. Keep in mind, none of it you saw at the time. Did you ever blow the whistle down? What's your excuse? Now your career is dead. Now you're out. So that's the thing where the defense is starting to, hold on, we can't let everybody claim they seen something. Okay? That's the thing. So, as I argued in my letter, the judge then ruled orally on letters that are not in the docket. Okay. Let's see if we can see this real quick. Okay. So the judge says the same brand of testimony that was objected to on Friday, does the government expect Rashad to say what she heard and said? Remember, chat, the very basis of even some of the things, like, again, it's one thing is like, this is what I've been through. Another thing is like, this is what I heard and saw other people. Definition of hearing, right? So the AUSA, which is prosecutor, says yes, we expect her to kind of give the same testimony about what she heard and saw. The judge says that would be permissible, just like the testimony in the recorded studio. Okay, so the judge is kind of choosing the AUSA side on this matter. They're saying the reason why we're gonna allow Dawn Rashad, because here's the thing, Diddy's team is coming in at halftime, so to speak, because they didn't say anything Friday. She started testifying on Friday. She said things on Friday. Monday, you know, they've been working, and we've seen Diddy's team has admitted they stayed up till 3 a.m. to get their shit right. Cross their T's, dot their I's. Now, they spent the weekend. They're like, whoa, we could probably get the judge to carve out A, B, and C. The judge is now just saying, here's the problem. I already allowed it on Friday, and you didn't say nothing. So if they started on Friday saying, why would I now lose? They already started. Number 2, in your opening statement, you guys mentioned some of these other people, including Dawn, who you knew was going to be a witness for government. And you basically brought up things to nullify what she was going to say. Because you did that, it actually gives her permission to say what she's going to say. That's kind of where we're at with it. Okay, cool. The judge said it would be permissible. Another AUSA, or maybe it's the same one, Slavic, says, yo, the personal assistants were with Combs 20 hours a day. Their testimony is admissible. So now they're moving beyond Dawn, because what's going to happen, Kerry Morgan is Cassie's best friend. Remember, she's seen him, right? Then there's going to be Mia. Mia was Diddy's former assistant. Diddy didn't fuck her, I think. Diddy didn't put her through, I think. But she's seen and heard. An assistant, and a driver, a security, all of them seen and heard. So the AUSA is now putting it out there. Yo, we don't want them to, since Dawn Rashad, they can't do nothing about because she already started. We don't want them to bring up the same issue about these other people. And here's the thing. And this is why I said Cassie's the main witness, right? She's the main witness. She's been through it. There's Jane Doe. She's been through it. We don't know anybody else who's a witness / victim who's been through it. The rest are people who've been around it, giving a testimony, just saying, oh, I seen this. Oh, I was there. I was the person who helped her go to the hospital after she got a bloody mouth, whatever the case is. Okay. So Slavic is saying personal assistants were with him 20 hours a day. Their testimony is admissible. The judge says, my concern is that there's other way to get evidence in. What Mr. James would add is just a postscript. So basically they're saying, unless these people are direct witnesses, like for example, yo, I seen her punch her in the mouth. You're a direct witness, right? Now you have levels to this. The victim is the best. Yo, he punched me in my mouth. I'm telling you, it happened to me. Look at my bloody mouth. He punched me. Good. That's the highest. Then we're gonna get, I seen him punch him in the mouth. I was in the room. I seen it with my 2 eyes. Cool. Then you get even a lesser witness, which is like, yo, I heard a loud noise that sounded like a punch, and then I seen her walk outside and her mouth was bleeding. So I came to the conclusion he punched her in the mouth, or she told me he punched her in the mouth. See, there's levels to it. So again, the thing with the Diddy case, and this is why Diddy's secrets went, protected for all these years, he wasn't doing everything in front of everybody. So the freak off only Cassie and a few other people could talk about. There was security and other people around there, but they weren't in the room. So all they're doing now is kind of like describing the atmosphere around the room, what they would see. Oh, she walked out crying, I seen this. But Diddy's defense is like, yo, all that shit is bullshit. Y'all never seen nothing. And also, y'all all have some type of gripe against Diddy now. Your career didn't go nowhere, Don Rashad. You're on food stamps, of course. Diddy's flying private jets. He got Astroglide and baby oil and motherfucking, like he got that pink cocaine in his spot right now. Like, of course you still mad. You're irrelevant. So you're gonna say a story that goes along with anything that's against him. That's what his defense team is trying to say, okay? And the judge kind of say his concern is that if Mr. James, who was an assistant, if he don't see it, and even if he's called in to clean up some shit, isn't there other ways to bring in this evidence? Because at this point, it's a lot of assumptions and hearsay, right? And by the way, this is very important, and I know I'm losing yapping. If this case turns into a lot of hearsay and assumptions, instead of this happened to me, I was a victim in this way, this might not be as strong as you think. Okay, so Agnifilio, which is Diddy's lawyer, says, on the David James issue as a former personal assistant of Diddy, this defeats the whole purpose of this hearsay objection. As I said, hearsay. The government is arguing that it's all admissible because the job descriptions are so vague. We contend it's personal matter. So what they're saying, what Diddy's lawyers are saying is that, yo, that's like you know a girl who gets her ass beat allegedly by her boyfriend. You've never seen him beat her ass, but every time she comes to you, she might have a bruise, and she says, yo, he beat my ass. Now you're the witness that he beat her ass. How the fuck do you know he beat her ass? You've never seen him beat her ass. You're listening to her, and we already got her testimony. So remember, they already got Cassie's testimony. They got Cassie's testimony. Why would we need to hear what Cassie told other people or other people who were helping Cassie after the matter? Right? Judge, let me focus you on the assault of the chef. Mr. James learns from a member of the security detail that Combs assaulted the chef. Chat, remember, this is going to be very important, right? Chef Diddy. So remember, there was a former personal chef of Diddy who basically she claimed that she was assaulted. I think this should be the same one because this one filed a lawsuit and this was in 2017. They claimed that, and by the way, start getting to some sexual shit because they claimed that, we didn't know it was freak-offs at the time, but they said after sexual encounters, Diddy would order the chef to bring food in the room, and Diddy's cock was just lying on the side. Like, he just laid out all type of shit, you know what I mean? Nigga still stroking while she bringing in the fucking, bacon, egg, and cheese. You get what I'm saying? So they basically were just like, what the fuck is going on? They sued, and before we could really think Diddy was some really creep deviant, they paid out. So Diddy settled it. And it went away until 2017. Nothing really popped up till 2023, which is 6 years. So that was a good settlement for Diddy, even though he probably should have settled this before he even went to the press. Whatever. I think that's a chef. Maybe there's been another, but that's the only chef we knew of so far. Let's keep going. Let me focus on the assault. Mr. James learned from a member of security that he holds assault the chef. That means the scope of their employment. So the judge is basically asking Diddy's lawyer, listen, I don't want to bring in a bunch of hearsay here and allow these people to testify bullshit or what they heard, blah, blah, blah. But if they do, even if they didn't witness it, and people complained in the moment of some violence, and they could be party or privy, or they could be vouching for how this violence or whatever was reported. Maybe it doesn't mean it happened, but they know it was reported. They should be able to talk about that, right? And Agnifilio says, I don't know what this has relevance to the fact. The Okay? The reason why he says that, remember, in a racket, these people are complicit. The judge is saying, well, if the security heard that a girl got knocked upside her head, and he could testify to that, that's relevant. Even if he didn't see her get knocked upside the head. What Diddy's lawyer is saying, okay, cool, we'll concede that point. But he's charged with racketeering. In racketeering and in a racket, people are colluding. So if the scope of their employment was not to collude with Diddy in this quote-unquote sex trafficking ring, and they were just doing their job, why is their testimony relevant if you're gonna say it's not in collusion with Diddy? Who gives a fuck what they say? If they're not working with Diddy to cover shit up or whatever, and then let's keep going. So this has become sort of a bad act free for. Assault is not one of the racketeering acts. Okay? So essentially what they're saying is like, yo, bro, like, y'all go on some other shit. Slavic, which is AUSA, says, this is relevant to the means and methods of the enterprise. The chef is identified as its victim. Agnifilio says, I'm going to defer to Miss Westbrook on the other ones. Now, this is the first time we've heard Miss Westbrook. So again, remember I keep telling you, Diddy's team is really structured. Everybody has an expertise. Westmoreland Diddy. That's a lawyer. That's a black woman he added early this month who supposedly survived sexual assault. Okay? She was going to play a role and look like her role was maybe doing some of the chef stuff. She joined after the jury was being picked. Interesting. Okay, cool. So Westmoreland stands up and says, Miss Richard claims that Mr. Combs assaulted Ventura right in front of her. The other alleged threats are nowhere in close proximity to an alleged assault. We have to distinguish between Kennedy Kane and the Diddy Dirty Money eras. And Mr. Pierre was telling her, where are you gonna go? I don't see how that could be misconstrued as a part. So the judge says, let me think about this. So here's the thing. What they're trying to say, if Dawn Richards, and by the way, chat, I know you guys are incredibly smart. I'm not trying to make y'all sound stupid. So if y'all hear me repeating or trying to give a colloquial explanation, like a layman's terms explanation that anybody can understand, and you're like, nigga, we already understand what we read, I apologize. What Westmoreland, one of Diddy's lawyers, is saying, yo, if she want to testify that she saw Diddy beat Cassie, cool. She's an eyewitness, cool. But if she's testifying to threats that could be misconstrued as whatever between the groups or whatever, and this is like bullshit. So the judge is kind of realizing, all right, yeah, if they allow everybody to be like, oh yeah, we thought Diddy was talking in a harsh tone of voice, we were scared. Yeah, you're gonna paint the guy as a monster. Of course they're gonna want to send the nigga to jail, right? So the judge is gonna think about it. Then they're saying we have an application from the press that emails be put in the record. Okay, I'm directing you to put them together and put them in a docket by next Tuesday, and after that on a weekly basis. Okay? See, I told you, Inner City Press, which is this person, they put in a application to the court, and that application clearly is admitted. That's what I'm telling you. This is why he's the only person really tweeting the case. There are people in there I've now found out, like from Fox News, they're in court and they're communicating. I don't know how they are, but they're communicating to their reporter who's like speaking about it, but they're not tweeting. Okay. All right. Here's the filing. And this is what our Inner City Press did. Oh, it's an email. By email. So they emailed it. Honorable blah blah. Agreed. This is the first application of document on seal government and defense communications to the chambers on evidential submarinian. Inner city press has been covering the North Carolina like many other Okay, perfect. So, got to say, inner city press, everybody who will be best gratitude without you probably getting it once okay? I don't know how we can really show you our appreciation, but I do want to tell you we're very appreciated. And I know me myself particularly try to show our appreciation. Alright? Okay. 13 minutes ago, the jury is now entered, and AUSA Slavic says, by the way, Donald Richard is on the stand again, says, when Mr. Combs told you that people could go missing, how'd you interpret it? Donald Richard says, that people could die. I couldn't believe that this could be. AUSA says, what do you mean? Diddy dirty money? She says, yes. So look like at the beginning of Diddy dirty money happening, things are going on, craziness, and Diddy's letting people know, like, yo, y'all fuck around with me, niggas could go missing. And she interpreted that to be people could die, right? AUSA Slavic then says, well, what did you observe? By the way, I feel like she already said this, but okay, cool, she said it again. He would drag her, talking about Cassie, and kick her, punch her in the mouth. AUSA says, what would prompt these acts of violence? Holmes says, Westmoreland, who's now more involved. Objection! Objection's overruled. Warren Shaw says, whenever it's Cassie again. Slavic says, who in security witnessed these things? Warren Shaw says, D-Rock and Rock LeBron. AUSA says, where did Miss Ventura get hit? Warren Shaw says, her knees, her face, all over. AUSA says, there come a time you were in New York for a festival. Warren Shaw says, yes, in Central Park. The AUSA says, in the residence, what happened? Warren Shaw said, punch Cassie. She came into the bathroom crying. Remember what I told you, chat? Some of these things she saw herself, some of these things she was around. And this is why the Combs team wanted to limit her testimony. Because Cassie already said what supposedly happened to her. You don't need to keep saying the same thing 15 times. Right? If you didn't see it, why you still talking? But because the whole thing about it has no ruling on it, he said he punched Cassie. She came into the bathroom crying. You could see her upset. She was hurt. Another objection. Remember, this doesn't seem like she saw he punched her. It seems like he saw her come into the bathroom and probably assumed, or maybe Cassie told her, I got punched. The judge sustains it for now. You guys know what that means, right? So overruled, which means answer. Sustained means move on. So what injuries did you have? Remember, that's what they're trying to carve out. Dawn, you ain't see Diddy punch her. And Diddy was really slick and shrewd in that type of way. No matter how, and I think the government's gonna make a bigger point of this. No matter how Diddy, part of his defense is that I was incapacitated, I was drunk, I was inebriated. He was always slick enough that he didn't do everything in front of everybody. That's the only reason why for 11 or how many years, people didn't know exactly what he was doing, right? So he would do it in another room. You might see him cry, you might hear him scream. But it's not like he's like watching him punch the shit out of him. You just say, let's go in the room. You go in the room real quick, you do whatever you do, she comes out crying. Or they hear a scream. Or they hear a scream, he comes out and says, oh, y'all got it. You assume like so his defense, knowing this, is saying, we're going to make sure we don't testify to none of that other. Here we go. So she did not observe the swollen arm. It appears she may have not observed the punch, but she assumed it's a punch. it would be crazy. Straight blows his money. And again, chat. Here, but we have some humanity, and also give him a fair shot. Analysis with some real, right? If it is true that he's that a grown ass man punched a woman who's like 17 in the face, close face, is crazy. Okay? But again, we don't know. Okay, let's go. AUSA says, well, why did you remain with Ventura? Says, what is this? Don Shaw says, well, that's a Central Park. I would put it in passing sunglasses and Central Park. AUSA says, why did you wear them? Solid. Apparently, she wears sunglasses at the event, but Dawn wears sunglasses too. The AUSA, the prosecutor, said, why'd you wear sunglasses? He said, I wanted to be get some more tweets. The next assault, who was there? Dawn, Capricorn Clark, and Harp. Harp here was a former president of Latin Records. He was in civil suits. Okay. AUSA says, who was Mr. Pierre? At Bad Boy, he was answering the combs. By the way, we can look it up. And just let's be factual here. Harp Pierre, I'll show you a picture of him. That's him. You may have seen him on Making the Band. He was best known for working with Diddy Bad Boy Records, but he was, I believe, either the president or something of the sort. Let me give you a second. His title. Yeah, he was the president. That's LinkedIn. He was the president. By the way, he also shares the fact that he has a Howard background with Diddy as well. Let's keep it going. Dawn says, the USA says, did they do anything? Dawn says, none of them. Okay? Now, sequence of conversation or questions that they're going along with to ask Dawn about, because remember, this is a racketeering case. So, what you want to show is complicitness, not people ignoring a situation or wanting to mind their business for their own jobs. You want to show people helping to cover, helping to fake, helping to facilitate what Diddy was doing. So I'm watching this line of questioning. Again, it's one thing to say, yo, okay, say I have a bunch of people, I punch you. I punch you, my sister, my presidents, my chief of staff. They all ignore that like they see. It's another thing if one of them runs to the store to go get some towel, one of them gets some Band-Aid, one of them start sweet talking a chick like, come on now, don't say nothing, we're gonna bring her to the hospital, this is the story. Now it looks like everybody's working. That seems like a racket. That seems like an organization, criminal, as opposed to maybe everybody's just mind your motherfucking business. Just seems like by the way, shout out to and thank to the king. That's a big shout. Guys are so amazing. We might do a little. I will say this here. Hit us up. See your actions. You're always amazing. You guys are I want to say everybody. Everywhere. All right. So it looks like they're trying to figure out what's going on, and it's clear that after the next assault, we don't know if it was a punch or something. They're saying that D-Rock, who I think this is a security guy or a guy like that. Mark here is the president. But they're saying that everybody didn't intervene when Diddy assaulted Cassie the next time. They're saying, so Don Rashad says, when we drove back to LA, he slapped Cassie in the mouth, told her to shut the fuck up. AUSA then says, how did the passengers respond? So it looked like they were in the car. Don Rashad said, we stayed silent the rest of the night. Okay? Don Rashad said, I asked myself, if he did that to someone he supposedly loved, what would he do to an employee? So I'd approach Mr. Combs with softness. AUSA says, did you try to intervene in the relationship? Dawn said, no, for my own safety. So look like that's going to be the whole, I think this is the premise of Dawn Rashad's testimony. It's to let people know, right? The reason why we ain't jump in, we was scared of this nigga too. We saw him beat her ass, we didn't want to get our ass beat, okay? By the way, whoever this is, they said the first RICO in history where the members of the criminal enterprise were doing their day jobs and minding their business, right? Like they're minding their motherfucking business. Where's the criminal organization? Now, here's the thing. I think Mia or someone else is gonna have to impugn Christina Caron. Like, all the personal assistants are flipping on Diddy. They're all acting like, oh, we weren't a part of this. We were doing our jobs. We just didn't intervene. Or if we did do something, it's because Diddy forced us and we didn't think we were part of a criminal organization. Okay? But that is a point. They said this is the first RICO in history where the members were just doing their day jobs and minding their business. Because I'm telling you, this line of questioning, I don't know why the AUSA is doing it. Because all you're proving is that the artist and his other employees just didn't do nothing. They just kind of looked the other way. But it's not like they were helping Diddy do what he did. It's not like they were like, yo, Diddy, let me hold her hands while you slap the fuck out of her. They're not doing that. They would just see the shit and be like, that don't mean they're part of this criminal organization. That means they're mind their business. But I can tell you, mind your motherfucking business. All right, here we go. Cool. So she says she minded her business for her own safety. AUSA says, well, did you see Mr. Combs using drugs? He says, yes, weed, ketamine, Molly, cocaine. AUSA says, opiates? He says, that I never saw. I guess opiates are like perks and stuff like that, right? Perks. What else is an opiate? Type of. What other drugs are opiates? Oh, coke. I thought perks was opiates. I don't know. Heroin. Oxycontin. Obviously. Let me just Google. Is Percocet a opiate? Yeah, oh, Percocet is. So Percocet, Vicodin, and Oxycontin. Okay. We're getting there. Okay, so they seem did he do weed, ketamine, Molly, and cocaine, no opiates. That never saw. By the way, this is also important. You got to realize, obviously, these stories are probably going to jail and send them up, right? When she admits to certain things that help me, that also hey, you see new opiates? That gives a little bit more believability than what she's saying. Like, okay, she's not just, you're not gonna say yes to everything to sink this guy. She's really telling her true account of the situation. AUSA says, who brought the drugs in? She said, one stop. Had it all, including Plan B and birth control. I was wondering where the Plan B was. You can't have a freak off if you nothing in these women. How the hell? There's no kids. Now know the Plan B was in cahoots with this fucking freak off. Andrew thinks about it in a second. So basically, Dawn Richard is saying they had a one-stop shop. You heard that sometimes Christina Perron or somebody would have a fanny pack and supposedly had party drugs, they had condoms, they had all these type of things, but I guess it would have Plan Bs and birth controls as well. One-stop shop. Holy. AUSA says, did you ever see Mr. Combs with guns? Dawn Richard says, yes, handguns on his lower back. AUSA says, who else? I think that's me. Who else had guns? Dawn Richard says, security. And AUSA says, what did you do after Bad Boy? Dawn Richard said, sing. Whenever I got momentum, I'd get a FaceTime from him. So apparently after she left Bad Boy, whenever she was like still working on her career, whenever she got a little bit of buzz, Diddy would call her. AUSA says, how would you speak to him? Very soft, I'd always call him bro. AUSA says, why did you not disclose it to you had seen? He says, I was told not to by Mr. Combs and Arthur here. Now, that's important, because now she's making Arthur here seem like a co-conspirator. He's complicit. That he was, again, a part of the cover, which becomes a part of the crime. In this particular case, becomes a part of the crime, right? So remember, it's Rico. The USA says it went. Okay. We not only the tweets, we also kind of Dawn Richard. Did she ever? Roger Bonds.
And so I've given a lot of thought, and I'm let you out your contract too. As far as for you, Dawn, I still want to make music with you. I still want you to be signed to the label. And, you know, if I decide to put that together, Danity Kane, then, you know, you'll be the only member that'll still be there.
Okay, so at a point, We had Diddy who dropped everybody but we're gonna get to Aubrey O'Day.
Talented.
I'll put this on the side. But Danity Kane had Aubrey O'Day and Dawn Richard and a few other people. By the way, one of the women who known Danity Kane, I think this one, what's her name again? Y'all are gonna remind me. She's sticking up for Diddy a lot. Like, she was sticking up for Diddy. But then people felt like her lawyer was being paid for by Diddy. Because Diddy had called her several times before, this is hard here. Several, I think it was 100 times. Over 100 times before she had put out whatever she had put out. Now, what the government just did with the testimony is accuse this guy right here, Hart here, of being a. They've accused Hart here of being a co-conspirator. What the natural thought is, will he take the stand? Will he flip against Diddy? But if this is what the government is trying to elicit, if he's not charged, why isn't he? Right? Because they're trying to say he's part of this criminal organization. If he's not charged, most likely he will be testified against it. But it's very low that he's not mentioned at all. I'm still trying to see him. Like, if we're thinking about this criminal organization that they and Christina Kalam, who's mentioned a bunch of times. If none of them testify against Diddy, we're thinking they're going to be co-conspirators, but they're not charged. So we're going to see what happens with them, if anything at all, right? All right, let's see. Dawn then says, I saw Ms. Ventura take the stand and tell the truth. Westmoreland says, objection, which is a really good objection. You gotta take it. The reason why is you shouldn't be testifying about another person's testimony. So when she says, I seen Ms. Ventura take the stand and tell the truth, Ms. Ventura's testimony is about what she believes. And also, when you say her tell the truth, did she tell the truth for the entire 3 days she was on the stand? Every single moment? So that was a great objection, and the judge sustained it. Which means, yo, you can't talk about her testimony. AUSA said, did you see Ms. Ventura file a civil lawsuit? And then did you file your own? She said yes. Which, yes, she did file her own lawsuit against Diddy. Has she done any interviews? Let's see if we can find out if Dawn has done any interviews. Dawn Richard interview. You've been waiting. She described.
What up, y'all? It's Caroline.
Alerting Mr. Clark.
So it dawned on me that we have 1 million streams already for this record.
I don't think she ever did an interview. Kalina is the one who's defending her. So Kalina's defending her, but Kalina's husband has some ties to Diddy. So that's why they think Diddy still cool with the husband. They're making Kalina like defend. They're making Kalina defend Diddy. But Aubrey O'Day and Dawn, they're not defending Diddy. Aubrey hasn't filed a lawsuit. Dawn has. Has Dawn never? Okay, here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Dawn Richard, and you're listening to MusicExclusives.com, where you hear it first.
What's up, everyone? I'm Megan Williams from MusicExclusives.com, and I'm here with the beautiful Dawn Richard. How are you?
I'm great. I'm feeling good. I'm in a good place right now.
Good. We're here at your listening party for Armor On, and I just want to say, we know you from being in groups like Danity Kane and Dirty Money. You've always been like the group girl. So why did you decide, okay, now I'm going to be solo?
Well, Puff decided he was done, so that was one reason. And it was just time. I mean, I've always been loyal, and I think I would have kept going with Dirty Money for however long it was, but when Puff decided he was done, that's all I need to know. Like, I can't, you have to let your career keep going, and my choice wasn't to wait. My choice was to take advantage of my...
Chat. Again, we want to support victims here, of course. Is there any world that Dawn is tight, that Diddy disbanded the group, gave up on them? She had to, it basically threw her in the deep end and said, sink or swim, you got to do this by yourself. By the way, oh shit, thank you. Oh damn. Did somebody post something? Okay. Hella followers. Crazy. Let me go filter over and see what's going on. Type shit. Yeah, by the way, I love by the way, probably on the flight thinking for the I gifted as well. All right. Good. All right.
My life and my career. So
Now, you know what the problem is with the Diddy case, and I think the jurors are gonna have to lay it out. There's no one that's testifying against Diddy, or no one who has this bad opinion of him that is doing really successful, or doesn't have some incentive to either get back or incentive because their career might not have gone the way they wanted to. And you have to take that into perspective, because all the people that got something bad to say about me, they felt I left them in the dust. And I could pull up interviews where they're like, man, I wish Ack never left me in the dust. I wish Ack was still doing the shit that he used to be doing with me. So here's the thing. If Diddy was still working with Dawn Rashad, would she be blowing the whistle, or is she blowing the whistle now that bank account dried up a little bit, opportunities never really materialized? Now she's like, all right, I'm gonna blow the whistle. That's gonna be very important to say, right?
told me no more. I was like, okay, well, what's the next step? Because I gotta know where to go after this. Because I love this music thing.
So it was Puffy's decision to.
Well, no, it wasn't. Oh, you said Dirty Money?
Right.
Yeah, I think he was.
Now, the thing with her too is that, remember, they have Danity Kane, then Dirty Money. She kept her for Dirty Money, right? But she's from Danity Kane. Also, let me see. I'm gonna play this quick interview real quick, or not? I'm not playing the whole interview, but give me 1 second. Hold on. Dawn on buying out of contract. I'm trying to see if recently she said anything. Oh, this was 9 years ago. Nine years ago was, oh yeah, she was in love with Diddy at that time. Let me hear what Cassie said.
On the back. You
Won't commit. He won't.
I'm not sure.
She was in a movie with Terrence J.
Playing a head game on.
Big friend. Diddy, whether he came to the set to make sure everything was copacetic with you.
No, he
That
actually.
nigga probably showed up to the set to see if he got to kill that nigga Terrence J for kissing on his bitch. You all know Diddy wasn't playing that type of shit. They in the movie over here talking about they hot and heavy, he kissing on her and shit like that. Nigga, fuck out of here. You can't kiss on my bitch. I only let escorts kiss on her and skeet on her, nigga. Fuck out of here, nigga. You 106 and Park reject ass nigga. Diddy probably came there like, yo, I'm about to fucking kill this nigga. One thing about Diddy wasn't letting no nigga in the industry fucking bitch. If you was an escort, you could fuck her all day. You could nut on her, pee on her. But if you was Kid Cudi, nigga, I'm about to blow up your car. You this nigga right here, fuck no.
Turn the tape. Welcome to Good Day.
All right, yes.
So I heard you kind of turn the tables on the guys in this movie. I like the whole premise of this.
Yes.
Sure everything was copacetic with you.
No, he actually really trusted the situation. Him and Terrence spoke beforehand. Terrence
Wait.
He talking to Terrence like, hey, yo, pussy nigga. You heard what happened to Kid Cudi's car? You don't want to know what'll happen to your crib.
Wait. You date P. Diddy?
Oh, wow.
I did not know this. Yeah. Hold the phone.
You know, I typically don't talk about my private life.
Well,
but
forgive me. They put it on the television.
They put it on the television.
Yeah. So I
okay.
mean, I don't go. Like, really, it's your
I'll
business.
let that one go.
So, all right.
But wait, she was telling the story that
So Terrence was a bit nervous, and I told Puff about it, and he said, have him give me a call. So we FaceTimed, and they had their man talk, and he said, make it believable. You guys, this is like going to be a great movie for you, and he's proud of us at the end of the day.
Oh,
it's work.
The actor talked to Puff.
So I didn't know you called him Pop.
Puff, Sean.
Yeah?
Everybody has
Pop, pop.
a different.
Well, he seems like a good guy. I met him once when he was selling Ciroc.
Yo, it's still surreal to me. And this is what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I think you're blind about media with it. Like, Cassie's so beautiful. Like, it's crazy to think that she might have left this set to go to where a motherfucking, like, 2 or 3 prostitutes fucking the shit out of her while Diddy's jerking off in the corner and she's glistening. It's crazy to think she held, and not only that she held a secret. Yo, these days women can't hold water, bro. Story time, like, come on, how many times have you seen women constantly expose the intimate or intricate details of their either situation or relationship with a guy just for a TikTok or to go on the shade? Yo, Cassie really held this shit down for 10 years. She was doing interviews where people were like intrigued, and she never gave the slightest hint that, yo, I'm doing some freak off shit. Like, so I'm getting proud about 15 just random escorts. Shit, Diddy's a freak. Like, we ain't heard none of that.
Vodka.
Yes.
He brought a big jug
He's
of
a
it.
big mogul. By the way, Cassie comes from our area, Connecticut.
I'm from
Do you still have family there?
I do, in New London, Connecticut.
Oh, that's nice. You get a chance to see them?
Diddy 7 years ago.
Well, as long as we're asking and you're sued.
This is him on Wendy. You know Wendy gonna get
Yes,
that
Puffy.
By the way, you know what's interesting about this interview? Back in the day, Wendy got fired for calling Diddy gay. You ever heard that story? Some of y'all are young. One in the chat if you remember that because you're old enough. Diddy, Wendy fired gay. Wendy got fired back in the day because she called Diddy gay.
Pop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny how when men get older in hip hop, they're still, well respected, well versed, Kool Herc, you know what I'm saying? And I am familiar with Kanye and ASAP.
Hold on.
There were lots of homosexuals in hip hop back in the 80s too, that was. What's worse? Hip hop wearing skirts or hip hop being closeted and having a plethora of kids to prove manhood that, and denial of something that you shouldn't have to deny, which is your sexuality. So I hear what Jamar is saying, but we come from a very home career, and it's all coming full circle now. So
I want the Diddy part.
I don't know, because I still see Frank Ocean as being one amongst many, but one, and that's good. But and then there was the notion of this radio DJ in New York who is in denial. So that just goes to show you how far the homosexual movement within hip hop and sports still needs to go. It is politically correct to be accepting, but behind closed doors, people are still hating. And Jason, the basketball player, is one, but it will be a long time, I think, before another actively playing in the locker room ball player comes out. And it's unfortunate, but that's where I am, on it. Frank Ocean, good for him. And Jason, good for him. It's a steak, Mar is saying, but we come from.
Anyway, she got fired. Let's hear the story.
Did you get fired for making fun of Puffy?
Yeah, by Hot 97. I had to fight a lawsuit. You know what it all came down to? They were gay rappers and exposing. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Wendy, and she was on the radio talking all this way back in the day. I've been telling you things for years, but you don't want to hear. So, all right, fine. And I don't understand parents who unleash their kids. Oh, it's just a deeply moving story to me because I know all of the story.
She knows.
It's kind of interesting to see Wendy in the state now because everything Wendy told us about everybody else is fucking true.
There are people like Wendy Williams. I didn't know that did that show. You represent a lot. It is stunning how many people figures think at the times.
Yeah, Catwoman. get back to teaching in a short second. Where's the...
And the Met Gala.
Yo, Diddy look like, yo, look at Diddy's face. The whole time he got his face on like, oh, this is him talking about him and Cassie.
Going this far. Look.
Yo, Diddy look so nervous. Look at his face.
Look.
That's that nervous laugh. Nervous laugh, cat.
Look.
Nervous laugh.
You know?
No, but I want to tell you the story about that. I met all of them in the same year, so I've known all of them in the same amount of time. But we were friends. No, listen. Whoa, why did I do that?
Did you meet all in the same
No, I was
social
just
setting?
trying to say it wasn't like I just was running around, through my career and just, every couple of years just being with a new person. These are people that
now, it's interesting. Back in the day, I think I could probably even find a clip. Wendy Williams. If I could find a clip.
Like weird.
Now, she prostitute.
show.
Cassie's, and she was on the radio.
Slams, all this shit. You. They look through Cassie's team. We Dawn witnessed Cassie being abused. Witnessed.
Wait.
Pussy nigga. You heard what happened to Chris? You don't want to know what'll happen in your crib.
Wait, you date P. Diddy?
Oh, wow.
I didn't.
Find out that he's so fucking with her, and he blocks Diddy.
Allegedly has been avoiding Puffy.
Oh, so Wendy knew. Yo, Wendy was the truth. Let me tell you this, man. Wendy's been the go to all this. Without Wendy, you don't get Charlamagne, you don't get, I don't think you get none of this shit. Because she is what TMZ is for hip hop. And I know some people love to act like, whether, like, if you're on a podcast, you're gossip. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're Joe Budden, you're gossip. You're gossip. I don't care if you think you're just movie news. We're all gossiping, and we all come from this woman right here. I'm sorry. She's the godmother of all this shit. I gotta be honest. Now, some people like... We'll have to make it clear. I'm gonna drink some water. The singular murder that is, if it's 2 counts of murder, it could be still. It's a stronger witness or a stronger victim. It was you of it. Why?
And then you also had Daniel Phillip. Remember the sex worker? He described being brought to various cities by Combs and Cassie's request. And he was paid for her upstairs by force. It was witnessed by multiple people, including other bandmates. And then to intimidate the witnesses, the next day, Combs allegedly locked them into a recording studio and told them the abuse was just passion and warned not to speak about it, implying that there would be consequences if they conveyed this to anyone else. So, these 3 witnesses definitely spoke to the means of coercion. They talked about the force, the threats of force, and coercion, all supporting Cassie's claims. Now, for the last element, that's commercial sex act, I think it's clear that these people were paid to go from places like New York to Miami, or from Miami to California, to engage in these freak-offs, and that would be commercial sex acts across state lines. So now, we've shown how the government is trying to prove transportation to engage in prostitution. We've also shown how the government is trying to prove sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Now, let's look at how the government is trying to prove the racketeering conspiracy. Now, for racketeering conspiracy, first you have to prove the existence of the enterprise, or the mob, or the gang. And here, they're saying the existence of the organization is Combs Enterprises, Bad Boy Entertainment. These are the companies and organizations that Combs used to facilitate his freak-offs and his sex work. Next, you're going to be looking for whether there was an agreement to participate. The defendant had to know this negative stuff was going on. He had to know the freak-offs were going on, know the prostitutes were being paid and flown across the country. Have the government, or can the government prove this agreement, or that the defendant knowingly agreed to participate in these criminal activities? Now, the last element for the racketeering conspiracy is you have to show a pattern of racketeering activity, meaning that there's at least 2 acts of what they call RICO predicates. They're also known as racketeering activity, and they had to have occurred within the last 10 years. Now listen, that's just a convoluted way of saying there's a list of crimes, and if we can prove that you committed 2 of these crimes.
Now, one of the things too with the pattern of racketeering Because if you used to commit, if they could trace you committing that crime all the way back to the 40s, even if the statute of limitations on that particular, let's say 10 years, they could reference and use the crime back to the 40s. And actually, the statute of limitations when it comes to criminal cases is just that there's been the last time in the pattern is within the last year. This is why, even when people denounce street gangs, it takes fully 10 years of you not being involved in any activity that street gang is accused of or supposed that you can be somewhat absolved. Because it would be hard for the government then to say, you're still part of this gang operating in this pattern. So it takes 10 years.
Then you can go to jail for life under RICO. Now, I need people to understand, since this is a RICO conspiracy, Combs doesn't even have to know if any of those other crimes are actually being committed to be held accountable under the RICO conspiracy statute. So now let's look at the list of crimes the government is alleging that Diddy Combs has committed that falls into this pattern of racketeering activity. Now, I put them in a nice chart, and this is from the indictment. You got kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, prostitution, transportation, drug distribution. Now, from this list, the government only has to prove 2 of these things happened within the past 10 years from this enterprise. Now, from this list of charges, the government...
Okay, so if you're wondering, okay, we're getting some big witnesses. Why is this going to take 8 weeks? And this is why RICO cases take long. You got to speak on all of this predicate acts. So kidnapping, that would be very clear. The video of Cassie not being able to, that would be considered kidnapping, or bringing her back, trying to force her not to, whatever, that's kidnapping. They're gonna have to show a little bit more. I don't expect Kid Cudi to take the stand, but arson has to do with his car. They gotta get some type of report that was gonna corroborate the fact that Kid Cudi's car was blown up. I think we need a little bit more to prove that in the predicate. I don't think RICO predicate but bribery. He gave us $50,000 or whatever amount to destroy the evidence. He gave us and then this kind of goes right in line with obstruction of justice, right? Now, kidnapping, I think that's the big one. Now, here's the thing. Obstruction of justice. You're not going to give obstruction of justice. Forced labor, trafficking. That's the serious one. Labor, right? So this is a trafficking and sex trafficking. And then again, remember, even the prostitution charge that by itself is the Mann Act. That's also underneath it, and drug trafficking. So here's what I think is gonna happen, right? I think he's gonna get. Let me not predict what I think is gonna happen. I'll tell you which ones I think they won't. I think proven drug trafficking is going to be hard because it's not drug possession. Drug trafficking means that there's some commercialization or commercial intent with the drugs that supposedly this person has. You're gonna prove that Diddy was moving weight? Like, come on, I don't think so. Also, arson. I think it's gonna be if Kid Cudi doesn't cooperate, maybe about some of the correspondence he has. I know Cassie's talking about a conversation that was had between her, Kid Cudi, and Diddy, where Diddy says, to Diddy, "Yo, what happened? But what about my car?" And Diddy says, "What car, little nigga?" Is that enough to prove that Diddy burned his car down or blew up his car? I don't know. So I think arson. I think drug trafficking. I think bribery is going to be strong. I think they're going to have transactions. I think kidnapping is strong. Obstruction of justice, that kind of goes with bribery a little bit, but not that heavy. Forced labor and sex trafficking, I think those are in the middle. I think you could probably get away with these. And you see the kidnapping thing, yeah, they don't have him for violence, but they could try to use the violence and him pulling her back as part of kidnapping, right? So we'll see.
I think, has for sure proven transportation for prostitution. They have the prostitutes up there saying, yeah, we were traveled from New York to Miami to engage in these freak-offs and get paid, right? So 13G seems to be well on its way to being proven. And then we also have the sex trafficking allegations. We not only have Cassie's sex trafficking allegations, we have some other women. Now what about 13H? Drug distribution. There were drugs at these parties. Both the escort and Cassie testified to it. The raids on Diddy's homes. The Homeland Security person also testified that they found illegal drugs in Diddy's property, along with the 1,000 bottles of baby oil. What about bribery of a witness? The hotel security guard said that Diddy tried to hand him a lot of cash and told him to keep quiet. Well, is this bribery? And if it is, that's a RICO predicate. Now remember, the government doesn't have to prove them all. They just have to show 2 of them. And I think they are well on their way to showing more than 2 of these RICO predicates in the Combs case. Now, it's important to note, this was just week 1 of the trial. These were just the first couple of witnesses. So we have a lot more to go. And then we also have the defense putting up their witnesses to show that this didn't happen or...
Okay, so we kind of get understanding here. We're still on the way. We're still an hour from lunch, probably. So essentially, and yes, it looks like, yeah. So as I said, they arrested today. So despite the fact that Diddy threatened, you still reached out to work with him, and you weren't making money otherwise, but you basically reached out to the guy you played his with, right? Now there's redirects. So the prosecutor gets back up and says, "Hey, why did you file your civil lawsuit?" And Nolan says, "When I worked with Combs, I had no sleep. The conditions." Now, she didn't allege sexual assault, but she definitely alleged like work conditions. It was almost like to the aspect of damn near misleading, but like I forgot the actual allegation she made, but it was about work conditions, right? Anyway, she's mentioned it here, and he will say says in every meeting with the government, Cassie, she said yes. Why then reach out to Mr. Combs? She said, well, I was a judge on making a band, Lord Gibson. I wanted to reach out and objection. Just said, hey, how often did you hear from Mr. Combs after you left Diddy Dirty Money? So wait. Why did the defense object? I would imagine they objected because in her answering it, she's bringing up William Gibson, who's someone who's not a witness for the government or something like that. The judge still sustained it, so it doesn't matter. But it looks like they didn't want them to be like, oh, Lorian Gibson reached out to me on behalf of her. Lorian Gibson, if you don't know who that is, he was like a known dancer. That's my known. But apparently she also played with songs as well. Origin says sporadic. How often would you do it? So why did you reach out? She said to help Kalina Harper. The USA says no further questions. That's a good place for them to end, right? Because Kalina Harper she actually was taken up for Diddy. And I guess maybe her this is Dirty Money's Kalina on how he treated
Diddy's my superhero. Diddy is my hero. And so as a little girl, I would always look at Puff and be like, yo, he's like the coolest, funniest guy ever. And he just like, yeah, he's dancing in the videos, blah, blah. But I was like, yo, you need that energy as an artist. You need somebody to have your back to be getting it. And if we took ourselves as serious, we'd probably be out of here because he believed in the movement, you know? And anyhow, I was freshly signed to EMI. And Big John did the deal, actually. He was the president of EMI at the time. Beat on some K Diddy shit. And he don't got, and they're playing his record. Boom, 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 boom. That shit beating. So I walked in the room like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, right? Because I'm capturing the music, like, not tripping about Puff being in the other room. All of a sudden he comes in and he just hears me like, oh my fucking God, going crazy to the beat on some K Diddy shit. And he don't got his pants on. He's in his drawers and socks and he's putting pants on. He's like, fuck with this beat. I'm capturing the music, like, not tripping about Puff being in the other room. All of a sudden he comes in and
it's a flashback.
He's like, oh my fucking God, going crazy to the beat on some K Diddy shit. And he don't got his pants on. He's in his drawers and socks and he's putting pants on. He's like, fuck with this beat. Like, that's how we met. Like, it was just like,
It was fresh out of a freak off, man. Yo, this is crazy.
And just like magnetically connected to what the music is. We just started vibing from there. That's how Soul Bites with the Wayne came out of it. And, you know, that was the first record I wrote for Last Train to Paris. So, yeah, and then we took off from there. When it was time for me to leave, writing on Puff's album, I was like, yo, who are you using for this fucking album? Like, who's gonna be on this album with you? Because this shit is so crazy. I was just so in love with the idea, the concept. It was just out of here from being a girl that was at home praying to God that I would get the opportunity. Like, oh my God, I've been on tour for like 4 years. $10,000 shoes, dippers. It's not a dream, and we all.
I always remember this clip. This clip is like it just accentuates maybe a thought that Diddy had about like whatever I want. And I mean, again, I'm not saying I think Diddy, I want this, I can get this. If I want to see this, it's gonna happen. And he bulldozed his way. Was he doing it in a legal way? Right?
Sean Diddy Combs was arrested tonight in New York City. Associated federal agents with Homeland Security investigations took him into custody. The charges are unclear at this time.
Two of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs' homes were raided today by Homeland.
You seriously don't have sex with him? So I just was like, I'm not going to do nothing with friends. Whoever I meet, I'm going to keep the business. So that was my whole mindset throughout the whole thing. And I'm just saying that because by the time I got to the freak off, I was already like cautious.
Don't she gotta look like Young Miami gang?
Like, this is a setup, because if I want anybody to take me seriously, I can't do anything. So, long story short, we're picking up girls night after night. We're going to Club Lid, we're going to sushi bars, we're going to different restaurants, we're going shopping, we're going to Neiman Marcus. He's whining and dining me, not giving me any physical money, but he's swiping his American Express black card. So I'm just being nosy, you know, he flew his cousins out there. We're riding around in a Maserati truck. We had like Uber service, and then we had car service, you know, but it was Uber. So I was honest, this is crazy. I'm like, he must really be like a respectful. I mean, I don't know no business, so I'm like, he's the real deal. I was wondering, like, when were we gonna go to the studio? Or when were we gonna do something musically inclined? Or are you gonna introduce me to somebody? Because at this point, I'm just like, okay, enough is enough. We're going shopping, we're not doing it. And I'm really kind of getting mad because I'm like, we just keep on picking up more and more girls. And just as a girl myself, I don't want too many girls around, because then, are you gonna do what you say you were gonna do for me? Like, I don't want the promises to start to change. So when a week goes by, where are we gonna have him? And then, mind you, I'm like, so you said we're gonna be staying for 2 weeks, right? So we're gonna do it for 2 days before I go home. Don't worry about it.
That wasn't with Diddy, that was with somebody else. According to her story, some prince that she was like, I don't know how she romantically involved with, introduced her to Diddy. And she's almost saying that it was almost kind of like a gift. Like, no, you're still doing sex trafficking. We do sex trafficking. And that's kind of like the story. I'm not into sound crafts, but
So 2 weeks came, I'm over it. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go home. As soon as I said I'm ready to go home, he's like, oh no, I got somebody very important, very special. I want to introduce you to. It's a producer. I'm thinking.
So she says, first of all, like no disrespect to Shorty, but right, you got a neck tattoo, gang. Like, why do you think that some Indian sheik, or not Indian sheik, some fucking Dubai sheik is riding around with you just wanting to take you on shopping spree? You know what that means. Like, nigga trying to shit on your chest, man. Like, stop playing, bro. Like, why you think this nigga wanted to hear you make some music, bro? Come on, right? So the nigga probably fucked the shit out of her, got whatever he wanted to get sexually out of her. And I think a lot of them shits, like, you know, here's gifts. So they're looking at it like, I'm buying you things for trouble. And then now it becomes some other shit, right?
Somebody very important, very special. I'm gonna introduce you to. It's a producer. So I'm thinking in my mind the time that it was around. I was trying to think who was popping, the popping producer at that time. The last thing I would have thought was P. Diddy. Not like that, but you know, because he's kind of old school. He wasn't really trending at that time. So I'm like, oh, DJ Khaled? Like, because I'm thinking like, okay, he's a prince, so maybe DJ Khaled is like, no. He's like, no, we're going to Club Live. Because we went to Club Live a few times, but this time, because that's like one of the popping clubs. And so this time, he was like, I want you to pick somebody tonight. Usually when the girls come back with us, I don't do the picking. He does the picking, or his cousin Saji does it. Or he invited his nephew that I called Drake because they look like little Drakes. And I was like, oh, okay, Drake and him is coming with us tonight. And that was just like a little insider. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. That was another thing too. Like his nephews were kind of like little finessers. Like he would use his nephews to be like the young, attractive men that would attract girls like me. Maybe to pick girls out for Diddy or whoever, right? I picked someone and I'm like, what do you want me to pick her for? He's like, because we're going to P. Diddy's house. And I'm thinking like, this is it. Like, oh my God, I'm about to get signed tonight. That's what I'm thinking. So we go from Club Live. It ends at like 4, and then at 6 o'clock we go to P. Diddy's house in the morning. So I never been to like an after party that early to where it just started that time. Usually when you go to an after party, it's about to be over around that time because people been partying all night. No, this shit just got started. And then it was 6, and then the sun started to come up. Next thing you know, I just see. So we get there, we drive there, we hit security. Security doesn't take our phone, but they put our phones in some bubble cases. So that means that we can't get to our phone. So I'm like, I've heard a lot about this type of stuff. Like you go to these parties and they don't let you use your phone.
You know why Puff's parties are so cool, man? Because you can't get into the party. It doesn't matter what the fuck's going on in the party. Nothing cool is going on in the party. It's a party. But you can't, for some fucking reason, at his party, you can't get into his party. So now what do you want to do? Get into that man's party and see what the fuck all the hubbub's about.
Yeah. They're like, don't worry, we have a Team Love, you know, that's his little slogan, his brand or whatever. Team Love photo booth, if you need taking pictures, take pictures there. I'm not knowing what's about to transpire. I walk in there, I'm just so happy, and I'm just like kind of nervous, but then what's making me even more nervous is the music and the naked people walking around. So I'm like, the music is going fast, so I'm like feeling like a rush. I don't know if it's no, I'm excited but nervous at the same time. That was my intuition telling me some shit. I started to see, you know, the skinny dipping in the pool, P. Diddy running around like a crazy animal. I seen like a lot of, you know, bisexual, this type of people, trans, just different types of people. And I love everyone, you know, I've been in the industry, so like I don't discriminate on nobody. I love a lot of gays. I love anybody who is happy, anybody who is positive. But when it starts to get kind of crazy, I'll be like, I don't want to attach myself to that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look. What you got? The Drake got his head. And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is a actual DJ. I'm supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to him. I put him to sleep. Right? You put the drink on his head. Yeah. There it is. Damn.
I seen Diddy. He rubs me on my shoulder. He asks me how you liked in my house, and he kind of like startled me a little bit. So mind you, this feeling I was feeling, I'm not sure if it was because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to maybe sing or get signed or this is my opportunity. You know, you hear these in the industry, you've been singing for so long and you hear these stories like when you get your big break, you're gonna go through all this bullcrap and then one night it's just gonna change your life. So it's like you're gonna be a nobody at one moment and the next moment you just may be a superstar tomorrow. It's like an overnight celebrity type of thing. So that's just what I'm thinking of. But then I get something different from Diddy. When he comes to me and he's rubbing on me and he's asking about do I like his house, I'm feeling like a dark energy, like in his eye. And I'm like, why is it giving scared? Like he's trying to, with his power, like, how are you liking my house? Like anything you want, let me know. Like, and then he tells me, go in the house. So after a while, he's watching me with the prince. Everybody is just watching me and all of these things. And I'm just feeling like, okay. So then he tells me like, did you go in my house yet? And I'm like, no. So I was with somebody and this.
We ain't never seen Diddy say, nah, we need another girl. Yo, think about it like this. If I'm Diddy, I'm talking Cassie, Gina, Porter. I would be trying to get them. I would try to be fucking them together. You bad? Diddy ain't want none of that. Diddy ain't never be like, oh nah, would you ever fuck Gina? None of that. That nigga was on some shit like, yo, get old boy with the big dick over there. Like, yeah, Diddy was on that type of shit. Diddy was fucking some of the baddest bitches on earth and never thought, let me fuck them together. He always was thinking, that nigga got I want him in the free. That's what I'm saying. This story now, I'm looking at him like, if he was at that party, I don't think they was trying to recruit women. Just give him a dick. Yeah, he was like, yo, hold on, man. Something ain't right about this ambiance, man. We need some more meat in the fucking building. All right, then. Okay, so there's a recross. Look like they're gonna get off Dawn Rashad over here quickly. Recross, Miss Westmoreland says, you admit you reach out to Combs to re-engage. You claim only to have a relationship with Lori Gibson. But if it got back together, you'd have to see Mr. Combs more, right? She said yes. They say, you sued for money, right? She said no, for justice. That's a genuine LOL. Don't I sued for justice, not for money. Yo, I hope they use that in her civil case. If she wins it and they're about to go to a judgment, I hope Diddy's lawyer said, hey, by the way, judge, just to let you know, she sued for justice, not for money. So, you know what? We'll have Diddy write a nice handwritten apology, and we'll have Diddy go do some community service, and that'll be it. No money from him. You're talking about you suing for justice. Fucking cap. Ah! Dawn says yes. Westmoreland says, okay. So Westmoreland says, but the suits ask for money, right? She says yes. Westmoreland says no further question. The judge says, Miss Slavic, no redirect. And Donaldson says, Xavier says break. So they're going on a break. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily lunch, but it might be damn near lunch. They might as well do an early lunch at this point. Okay, it might be an early lunch at this point. Okay, cool. Let me go back to this video real quick. By the way, we're gonna hop into, like, during this break, we're also gonna get into what Aubrey O'Day said. I've seen a lot of blogs and people kind of like taking what she said as really an indictment against Diddy. And just for people who don't really have a race, we really don't give a fuck. Obviously, we have a we want to know if are these both captains really freaky ass nigga, or is he a rapist and a sex trafficker? That's the only thing we care about.
Rock, we be singing, the ladies be nice. Hey, yo, everybody, make sure your breath is fresh. If you don't love, make sure you lotion up. You know what I'm saying? If you're smoking weed, you can really drink. You can be respectful. Ladies, if they don't want to dance, don't let them hold you back. It's hold you apart.
Come on, friend. So.
Hold on real quick. Let me, I love getting this guy's update or his input. My guy, friend of mine, Bradford Cohen. This is him. He gives real good legal insight. By the way, one of the best lawyers in the land.
On Sean Diddy Combs. So today, Dawn Richards is going to continue testifying. She is a member of Danity Kane. Danity Kane is a group that was managed by Sean Combs. And if you remember, he's never been easy on any of his groups. I don't know if anybody remembers Making the Band. I remember wasting my life away watching Making the Band. And he made people cross over the Brooklyn Bridge to get him Junior's cheesecake. He's a very difficult manager. He's a very difficult guy to deal with. And I think that is kind of going to be highlighted by the defense here. I don't know if...
Yo, chat, let me ask you that. Well, I asked my chat. Now, granted, I'm asking this in a very tongue-in-cheek way. I don't mean to be sensitive or anything about it. So I gotta give a disclaimer. But if you were a woman that were around at that time, and you see how horny Diddy was, he was having freak-offs for 4 straight days. If Diddy never tried to get you in a freak-off, or never tried to fuck you, if you feel like this really wasn't pretty. Because I'm thinking about, I'm like, yo, ain't no way he tried Babs Bunny. Right? Like, yo, I don't think he tried, like, them hoodlums that was in Making a Band, or Da Band, that's what it was called. I don't think he was trying to get Babs Bunny in no fucking freak-off. I can't see him saying, yo, we need Freddie Pete from Miami to fuck Cassie while I watched. Nor Lean Belly Inez. Or I can't be like, yo, Chopper, yo, take that Chopper suit off and come fuck Chopper. I can't see that neither. And I can't imagine him saying, yo, right now, the Island Man to come fuck her. I rip and I rhyme and I rape. This is the way Dylan sits. Sarah did look good. Sarah did look good. The rest of these hoodlums, hell no.
There's going to be a lot of bias here because
he does look like Dana White, right?
She was treated in a way that she felt was disrespectful in terms of money, in terms that she didn't get paid for things, in terms of that she witnessed things that she didn't want to witness. She says that she witnessed him hitting Cassie with a frying pan with eggs in it, never reported it, never called the police, never had a text with Cassie about it, never had a text with friends about it. I think that's unusual because you think she would at least tell her friends about it. Cassie's testimony last week wrapped up with a lot from the defense just smoking her on.
Is that a fair thing to say, Chad? Do you believe there's a world where they're so scared of you that somebody I ain't gonna lie to you. Yo, somebody get hit with a frying pan around me, my group chat is on fire. Like, yo, I couldn't, well, I'll be on Discord. So I'm like, yo, I'll be on Discord until that's where like, yo, this nigga Diddy slapped the bitch with a frying pan, nigga. Like, this shit was crazy. A frying pan? Yo, slapping somebody with a frying pan is crazy. I'm telling everybody. But I do have a big one. Pause. That shit look like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Different texts that she wrote about that she loved the freak off, that she wanted to do freak offs during the week, not just the weekend. The amount of settlement that was made by her for $20 million with Sean Combs, and then $10 million against the hotel. So she got $30 million there, and I'm sure she got $10 million of that $30 million. So he probably bought himself a cigar. Long story short is, I think it's going well. Helping the defense. You never know on these cases. It's very early in the case, so we'll never actually find out what's going on until the end of the trial. But you can say on the scoreboard, the defense is definitely putting up some points.
I scored this, chat. I scored this, so I'm gonna score like boxing. I'm gonna score week by week. I think last week was a 10-9 week for the defense. And the reason why I scored a 10-9 is that this is a round they should have never won. And this is why I think they're up heavily. You know, one of those people who get gas quick, but they get they just don't get quick. So really, they're supposed to win the first round, but they'll get tired later. I think the defense brought up Cassie, right? That's the main witness. I think last week should have been a 10-8 for the defense, where it's like, whoa, not for the defense, for the prosecutors, where Diddy's like, whoa, we're gonna have to step it up to recover from this, because Cassie crying, detailing these freak-offs, she's a known public, let's not say famous, but like, she's known, right? She's a known victim. People seeing that video, Diddy needs to strong. Diddy had the better week. So, I scored it like that. Looks like he agrees.
All right.
Okay. All right. Looks like, I think we're on a break. Not sure if it's lunch. Okay, it's not lunch. Okay, so good. So the jury enters back in. The government calls Carrie Morgan. Carrie Morgan is the former best friend of Cassie. Carrie Morgan says she lives in Los Angeles. AUSA says, who is this? She says, Cassie Ventura. So what's your relationship? She says, well, we were best friends. Her boyfriend assaulted me and Diddy. AUSA says, do you see him here? She says, yup, right over there. That nigga right here, grayed up in the yellow sweat. Okay. AUSA says, let the record reflect the witnesses identified defendant Sean Combs. AUSA says, why are you here? She says, I got a subpoena. AUSA says, where did you live with Cassie? She says, in Manhattan. AUSA says, did Cassie drink? Carrie says, not much. AUSA says, any drugs? Carrie Morgan says, none. Well, this is actually important. I'm gonna pause this by saying this is important in the sense of we've just heard that Cassie went to rehab. We've heard that Cassie was heavily under the influence of drugs. How could her best friend not know? Now, I'm guessing this is the government asking something that hurt their case, right? They're saying she doesn't drink that much. Did he force her to? Outside of being with Diddy, and that is one of the arguments they're trying to make. They're saying behavior that she exemplified or did with Diddy, she never did outside of being with Diddy. For example, she never did a freak off unless it was with Diddy. And yes, she did do freak offs while she was dating other people with Diddy, but she never did a freak off with anybody else. That didn't exist, right? So maybe they're trying to say, yeah, this woman wasn't really. Diddy got her hooked on drugs to continue, and that's why she was taking drugs. Him, I didn't see her too much. So what was she doing for modeling? And she recorded Me and You. AUSA says, when did you learn they were dating? 2007. AUSA says, did you travel with Cassie and Mr. Combs? She says, yes. Went to Ibiza, Miami. AUSA says, what drugs did Combs provide? Molly, marijuana, ecstasy. AUSA says, which of them did Combs take? She says, all. Did you take any drugs? Cassie? She says, open. All right. We don't know who the other witnesses are going to be. The judge did ask for a schedule of witnesses, and it appears that the schedule of witnesses so far has Diddy, not Diddy, but had Dawn Richard, and who's gonna come out of that's the thing about all the other things maybe somebody who worked on the car or who covered the car, or a cop that was covered the car, cleaning up the car, don't think they cut it. And there's a lot of other people, and maybe like some clinical psychiatrists or trauma psychiatrists that could be taking a stand to kind of like push home some of these points of a victim being in these situations, and maybe you think that they're operating under their own power and free will, but they're actually being taken advantage of, and they're moving out of fear or being in a drugged up state. So we're gonna see a lot more people other than we know or hear about. So far, we're hearing a lot about people we know. Okay, let's see. We should get some more tweets here. They probably got about 30 more minutes, or maybe a couple more minutes before the break. Okay, so it says, how did Mr. Combs act? It says he would yell at Cassie. She lost her confidence big time. She lost her spark. Did he talk down to her? Yes, about her looks, who she talked to. Did he contact you looking for her? He says a lot. So they're kind of driving home this whole thing that Cassie would be missing at times, or she would be absent. And Diddy would send security to go get her. He would call those people. And he made a point where Cassie had to be held accountable for Cassie had to be man being mom. Like, Diddy always made sure he knew about Cassie, and this is gonna go into the government's point of, remember, sex trafficking on a force, fraud, or coercion. It's like, yeah, you could say Cassie can walk out the door, but if when she walks out the door, he tracks her down with security, he's still threatening her, he's hitting her about video, he's hitting up her best friend, he's pretty much has control or has a tap on her whole life. The physical act of leaving the room of a freak off doesn't still allow her to escape. Right? Also, he had a place that she used to stay at that supposedly he had access to. So, just trying to play devil's advocate on how they're telling me this case. Right? Anyway, what played the video?
Going. It's more shit going on in the house than outside. The outside was a crazy mess because of the music and the people. No, they were like, I called it like sardines now because everybody was up on each other. I could feel the moist and the sweat. As soon as I got in there, it was like a sweatshop. And there's a lot of things going on in different corners. It's a huddle over here, huddle over there. You got the people over here. You could just look to your left, you can see something. You look to your right, you can see something else going on. You look forward, there's some other shit going on. I mean, I had to like watch my step. There's people running around screaming, having fun, I guess, but I need to watch myself up in here because what's going on? Mind you, it's people asking you want a drink, passing you stuff. You have, the waitresses walking around naked, asking you do you want stuff. And
The more I listen to this, I don't think Shorty was at a freak off at all. The freak off looks like extreme sex. They're not hanging out, they're just drinking. The freak off looks like you fuck you nut, you rub this nut on this. It didn't feel like, it's not, I think what she was realizing is that maybe it's the first time she's partied with a celebrity. Yes, did he freaked out? Like, he's freaked out in the sense of, he gonna have maybe girls in bikinis, naked girls, they're pouring like body shot, maybe that, but that's just like a freak party. That's not a freak off. The freak off, the fuck.
I'm not really a drinker. The last thing I'm doing, at that time I was smoking weed, I don't anymore, but that was it. But I was like, because if I'm gonna do something like this, I'm gonna go stick with nothing but weed. And I just seen everybody, they were like intoxicated, but nothing out of the norm yet. Until I look over it and I see some little people, so I'm like, dressed up, I don't know if it's a video shoot going on or what, but I'm just like looking like, okay, little people, and not midgets. So I'm just thinking like, okay, I know I'm not tripping, I don't know. So I'm just like, whatever. I felt disgusted at this point because now I'm like, okay, this is some Hollywood shit and this must be some billionaire shit. So, see, I'm not that up there. So let me just head on out because I'm not trying to be in the middle of all of this. I need to figure out what the princess I could do with me because it just seemed weird. And I just walked out because I still have my friend out there waiting on me. So it's like I seen what I needed to see and I just was disgusted. Now, in this industry, we could see our favorite rappers doing bisexual things and we could feel like we still didn't see it. It could be right in front of our face and we still won't believe it. People could tell us, we can feel it and we still won't believe it. But what I've seen, I'm like, this is some funny, weird, freaky shit. And at the end of the day, these people are some weirdos. I'm not weird, So I go outside, he is outside on the couch with the prince. He's already just, feeling like, okay, she's been in there, she's seen, people feel comfortable and you're on their playground, right? They like, so what do you think? Basically, why you with this shit or what? And I'm like, I'm not trying to beat off the weirdo. It's kind of like when somebody off the roof and some at a party and it's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. You try to make it seem like, I'm not going to do that today. You guys are not weird. You guys aren't. But, so I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just like, so what's going on? And they're like, oh, are you going to Cuba with us? So it's the girls, the girls that's all in the prince. The prince is on the couch, Diddy is on the couch. And I'm like, where did this couch come from? Now I feel like I'm tripping because I'm like, I didn't see this couch before. Now I feel like they're trying to learn how to play on it. Like, they're trolling so I started to get paranoid because the music, all the shit going on, I just wanted to, I literally wanted to cry because I'm like, I'm always in some shit trying to be famous. Like, damn, I thought I was this close and being this. Like, every single shit cry. Because I didn't have interviews, but meetings and services and records. And it's called the Dub Jam. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is it.
I'm going to be honest. What she described, I do not believe was a freak off. I believe he threw his extravagant party. And I think the only thing wasn't trying to recruit other women. I think Diddy was trying to entice other guys by trying to show them. Like, there's niggas like this. You know, if you tell some of these horny ass rappers, yo, I got some bitches, blah blah blah, we can go upstairs. They'll go upstairs thinking they about to do two-man, they about to fuck one bitch. He probably doing some weird shit, but he's like really disguising it. You know what I mean? Like really disguising it. And he probably did that with rappers. I don't think he aggressively tried to fuck no rapper. I think he was like, got it. But he had these, I think it was homoerotic. I think Diddy wanted to just attack him. It was easier for him to kind of get those rocks off of those pinks off of those sex worker because that would make sense. Okay, yo, fuck her till she I don't think he wanted much women. No. I think with the guys he could disguise that. Like, what's that Diddy shit, man? You know what I mean? I think that's what he was on. Like he was watching the men. And he could play it off on some, oh now we just both fucking the whole time. Looking at Fab like, damn, you doing it, daddy. Nah, you doing it over there, daddy. Yeah, fuck what I'm doing, daddy. You doing it. Yo, Meek, you doing it, daddy. You know, I think that's what's going on. I'm being honest with y'all. Like, nothing else makes sense. I'm not, like, this is not even a crazy theory. Chat, nothing else makes sense. There's not, we've heard 50 stories now. Not one of these stories say he was trying to recruit other women. Not one of them. Not one. But we hear stories of him saying with men, party. We hear stories of, yo, yeah, when I opened the door, Ja Rule came out. Ja Rule said, you don't want to get up in that room. There's a lot of freaky shit going on in that room. There's not one of these stories that involve another woman. So I gotta think, or maybe I could be wrong too. Because let's go to the Ja Rule story. I don't think Cassie was involved in that. I don't think, again, I don't think Diddy wanted other men in the industry because he was competitive. And that's the thing. I think Diddy gay, but I think he was competitive. I don't think you know, as a man who's heterosexual, you don't want another man to fuck your girl. I don't think it's because of that. I think he just was always competing with his peers. That's why he used to get at her like, bitch, you fucking Michael B. Jordan. Bitch, what you mean you go to OVO Fest? Bitch, stop playing with me, man. I think it's because he was competing with those guys. Not necessarily that it was those guys. So he would allow his girl to get fucked by prostitutes and escorts, people who weren't in his industry that he never had to worry about. So he was into that, but he never had to worry about these people. So let's say if it was him and Fabulous or him and Ja Rule, like freaking off. I don't think that's not his girl. He don't bring Cassie in there. I don't think he bring Cassie. I think, remember, I still think Diddy gay. So Diddy want to watch the nigga slang cock. He the nigga. I don't do shit like this. I would never do some shit like that. I wouldn't even be able to get hard in that room. He probably got a room. He fucking a girl. She fucking a girl. And other niggas probably focusing on the girl. And Diddy the whole time just looking at the other nigga like this. And every now and then nigga look up and be like, what the fuck? And then Diddy started doing some other shit. I guarantee you, bro, I'm telling you. Diddy wanted penis this whole time, gang. I'm telling you, gang. Like, yo, there's nothing else that makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. So what she's talking about, maybe there was a freak off going on upstairs. I don't think this is the Cassie freak off. The way he dealt with Cassie, I think it was sex worker freak. Cassie, oh yeah, one time he put his dick in my mouth. Like I think Cassie would have said that shit. I know it's extra pause, I know, but like, we gotta try to make sense of this. The dude is super competitive. He's trying to slap Drake over his girl. He's mad at Michael B. Jordan. He's blowing up Kid Cudi's car. I don't think he's trying to have freak-offs with other rappers with his girl. I think his girl is a way for him to get his rocks off at the escorts. And I think he probably had two-mans or little orgies with other rappers, but he would have random bitches. The whole time, he's on the rapper. The whole time, he's on some take that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So maybe she's talking about that, but that's a different freak.
if this is the one, and it won't be right, and it'll be
because, again, and I think y'all get it. In Cassie Freakoffs, she's the constant. She's the constant. We actually don't hear. Who was the person he was comfortable with that he could hide behind and go in the other room, and she would take the semen, scoop it out of her pussy, and rub it on his tits. And that was their secret. So if we're thinking as these homoerotic desires, because he's competitive, he's not gonna bring Cassie in that other shit. I could be wrong, but that's where maybe the random girls come in, because the thing about rappers, you can always lure them in. Like if you're trying to get rappers or really anybody to entertain it, go nowhere, or you gotta tell them, yo, nah, pop out. There's gonna be mad hoes there. Niggas is there. Niggas is there. You bring the hoes for them, and you get to watch them fuck. Makes sense to me.
Some weird shit that.
All right, let me see. Are we at lunch yet for this case? All right, okay. Says sometimes Diddy would call 50 times in a row. AUSA says, would others call you for him? Says yes. Christina Karam, which by the way, or KK. So that's the same person. Chat. We're gonna keep watching out for this name. If she's not an indicted co-conspirator, she's somehow not. When she testifies, how did she avoid testifying? Because these people who are party to all of the stuff or witnesses or victims are claiming she's a co-conspirator. AUSA says, did you witness any assault? She says, yes, first in the Hollywood Hills. Ruben, one of his security guards, was there. AUSA says, what did Mr. Combs do to Cassie? Terry Morgan says, he kicked her. Okay? AUSA says, what did she do? Morgan says, nothing. I told Ruben to do something, he indicated he wouldn't. AUSA says, then what? We left the house. Jackie and I were hiding by someone's front steps. So once again, you know, and this is why I think the prosecutor, if they're gonna win this week, right? Again, I'm scoring in my own way. If they're gonna win this week, though, they have to somehow prove it. They gotta somehow prove it. Beyond just the violence, where this becomes full sex trafficking, because they keep telling us the same thing. Diddy did. Chat. Do y'all believe Diddy did that? That's not right. Now I know they're trying to prove these little subtle nuances, like, well, we got to mention the beatings, but the beatings were the overlying factor of the fear and her trying to get away, i.e. hide it. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just looking for a little bit stronger evidence, I guess. Right? AUSA says, and the next time, Terry Morgan says, in Jamaica, I saw him drag her by the hair. I ran to get my purse and phone so we could leave. AUSA says, what do you see next? Terry says, I thought she was knocked out. Then she got up and ran into the wooded area. So we're hearing about just more violence. More violence. Diddy, Cassie. A lot more violence. All good.
That happened at the last minute. So this is one of the weird things that happened at the last minute. And then when they sprung up Cuba on me, I'm like, I thought I was going home. My 2 weeks is up. Like, now Cuba? And then they know and I don't know. So to me, surprises for me. So I was like, next I end up dead. So no, I'm not gonna do it. And it was just like, I was like, oh, we're going to Cuba. And then D's like, yeah, are you coming to Cuba? You too. So just like, okay. After the fact of all this, I've heard some things about Cuba, that they don't even stamp your passport and that people get lost in the sauce out there. We hear these stories about Dubai. What about Cuba? What about the unseen? Like, you know, like I'm just a party.
That's very conspiratorial. Just because you're trying to allude that the place that they're going to go is a direct result of them trying to evade notification or evade or to alert anyone about their sex trafficking.
go at this. They probably think I'm a I think I'm a model. I think I'm an opportunist. And yeah, I am an opportunist, but I'm not going to do something that I may regret later or that you guys are going to hold over my head. All the stories that we do here. And I think that it is true because I even seen someone, before I went there, I was signed to a rapper. I ended up seeing someone there that was friends with the rapper, and he was dressed totally different. And when he seen me, he was up on me too. He was like, "Hey, I don't think that he even did that back in California with the rapper. He wasn't saying shit when we were in California, but in Atlanta, he was comfortable and touching and feeling me too. When I got back home, that's what when I got back home, I went and tried to come get him up because I pushed that, and I was blocked because I went on my other page, like my little friends, and I was like, "Why is this man coming?" I said, "Why did you block me?" That's fishy, because I didn't do nothing to you. So is it because I left or you didn't want me to know or nobody to know that you were there? It was a trip, you know what I'm saying?
I it's one of those situations. If they blocked you, it's because they blocked you. Now, I'm pretty sure you're not socially aware that you get out. You're probably like insufferable. Because you're not speaking about how you're moving, but you're being at these places. So you're just moving around like. So you're saying that you're pretty much trying to recruit to sex trafficking, even now
This guy, the rapper, he really is vouching for Diddy. Like, you know how certain people are like, no, he wouldn't do that. This one in particular is like, no, of course you're saying that because if you was partying with him, you probably got some different things. Like, that's just what I think. Because come on, like that was just weird. And at that time, before I put two together, I was like, maybe when little ones is there with somebody, but why? Like, look at what time in the morning, under, around liquor, around, drip, rock them up. No, and I'm tired of stuff being so covered up, but I have prayed before all of this. I'm a believer in God. Don't use me like that. I have to be the one to not be a cop. I don't know. Basically, yeah, like, if I would have just took a drink, I feel like, or if I wouldn't have been on my P's and Q's, I probably would have went to Cuba. Or I probably would have just went along with it. And I probably wouldn't have needed to tell myself. One of the girls, the Asian, because she was just her assistant, I thought I could talk to her, like, before we went to Diddy's house. So, we were like, well, fine. And she was telling me, I was like, so what are you doing out here? Because I started asking the girls questions in the house. And then she was like, my sister is in competition with me. I just want to change my life. I just want to change my life. And she was like, and I think being the prince's assistant would be good for me. And when she said this, I told her she was the assistant. Remember, I'm a person. So she said that the prince said that he was going to stamp her whole book. So knowing that information, and that's what told her. And they who knows what their plans were and what was going to happen.
So what happened? Two golf courses. I got in one, Sean got in the other. We went in different directions looking for Cassie. Find her, yes. Then we hid in a ditch. So in Jamaica, he dragged her by the hair. She ran back to get her purse and phone. So what you see next? Well, she was knocked out. Then she got up and ran into a wooded area. And what happened next? Two golf carts in the driveway. I got in one, Sean got the other one. We went different directions. Look at Cassie. I looked for her. I found her. We hid in the ditch. What about the incident at Comstock? So Cassie came back with a hoodie covering her face. Sean came and got called D-Rock. He said, did he get in? No. You still need like a D-Rock.
Okay, Diddy.
Which one's D-Rock?
Diddy, what's up, baby?
Yo, Diddy is such a fraud, though. Yo, anytime you see a nigga get too positive, they're doing something. I ain't gonna lie to you. As soon as Diddy started saying he was brother love, I was like, all right, man, this nigga doing some real devilish shit. Any nigga who act like they too positive, I knew someone. This is probably after a fucking free fall.
I've been praying on this, and I decided, I know it's risky, I know it could come off as corny to some people, like, yo, I decided to change my name again. I'm just not who I am before. I'm something different. So my new name is Love, aka Brother Love. I will not be answering Puffy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, or any of my other monikers, but Love or Brother Love, okay? It's my birthday. I feel good. God is the great. I give all glory. I thank my mom and daddy.
By the way, Hoodbox TV, thank you for the 10. I'm gonna go